Hey YouTube. So today I want to talk about the Spyderco Delica, and I want to end up with my assessment of what probably is the sort of ultimate evolution of the Spyderco Delica so far. It's important to say so far because Spyderco will continue to develop this platform and make new iterations of the Delica. Um, Here's a very early Delica. This is from the early 90s. The Delica first appeared in 1990 with G2 steel, and then AUS 8 steel was used pretty early on as well. These had an FRN clip, a molded clip, and a lot of them broke. A lot of times, if you see a vintage Delica like this, it'll have the clip broken off. This one, somebody carved their name in there, I guess. Um, it was a lockback. It's a little smaller than the later versions of the Delica, and it has just a straight clip profile, um, and a little bit of belly. These were both available serrated and plain edge. Okay. Later versions offered the option of a stainless steel handle. We started seeing more premium materials like VG10 showing up later in the 90s. This one's got a saber grind. Sometimes you'd see a saber grind, sometimes you'd see a full flat grind. The pocket clips were eventually improved and became screw on, bolt on. Um, uh, Clips like we see today. The clips have gone through many iterations. I'm kind of jumping generations here. Um, they added at some point in the mid 90s the Boyd detent, which is this little uh, indentation here that gives you an indexing point so you can feel where the lock is. And it also theoretically prevents you from disengaging the lock when you're gripping the knife, although that's not really an issue. Here again we have another saber ground knife, and now we're getting a straight clip point with a little drop at the end. Um, as a self-defense tool or weapon, um, the Delica was one of many Spyderco design knives that added the Emerson Wave. This allows you to wave this thing out of your pocket so that when you're pulling it out of your pocket, you catch this little hook on the fabric and you deploy the knife so that it comes out of your pocket fully deployed. Um, this has got a more of a spear point profile to it, and it's a saber grind, and it's still VG10. Okay. This is where we're at today with the Delica 4. Right, we've got FRN handles, Boyd detent, jimping. Full flat grind is more common than a saber height grind, but you can still sometimes get a saber height grind. We've got a little bit of a drop at the end. Um, the There's a lanyard hole. The overall length of the knife, then the closed length has gotten a little longer. The profile has changed some. If we look at this Gen 1 Delica versus the Gen 4 Delica, you can see quite a few changes. Okay. We also now have the ability to uh, disassemble the Delica, which you didn't have in this Generation 1. This was pinned construction. Um, The Delica has also been a platform for other knives that are technically not Delicas, but are really basically Delicas, like this Salt 2, right? Which is got a little bit more of a sheep's foot profile at the tip, and it's made with H1 steel, which is impervious to corrosion. But if we look at the knife here, the Delica lineage is pretty evident. Okay. And also in the Salt series, we've got some other things like this Hawkbill version, right? The Tasman Salt. This too is based on a Delica, although it's a pretty different blade profile. VG10 is a steel that's offered in sort of the base configuration of the current Delica 4, but you can find upgraded steels. Here, for example, is one in CPM S30V, right, which is going to offer better edge retention and better toughness, better balance overall of toughness, edge retention, and stainlessness. Okay, still has the FRN handle scale. This one happens to be pink. We occasionally get other exotic steels. ZDP 189 from Hitachi is a super steel. This one in saber height grind. It's an extremely hard steel and will hold an edge for a very long time. And they did make this in a full flat grind, which would be slicier, but ZDP 189 is chippy. So having a little bit of more of the stock thickness in this blade is going to make it less likely to actually snap. And that's why you might prefer a saber height grind to a full flat grind with this steel. And we have some other profiles. Here we have the Delica 4 in CPM S30V, so upgraded blade steel, and a true Wharncliffe blade profile. We've got a fully flat edge and a continuous drop across the spine, down the length of the spine. This has been lately my go-to box cutter because that S30V steel will hold an edge for a while, so I can break down quite a few boxes before it dulls out. The Delica is a very good box cutting blade in general because it's thin, especially with a full flat grind. You get good geometry for those cutting tasks. And the Wharncliffe profile is especially good because the material, the box, cardboard, doesn't slip out of the cut as you're cutting. If you're doing a push cut, right, it stays in the cut. So up until now, this has been my sort of ultimate Delica, but there's one that I think surpasses this as a useful cutting tool, and it surpasses it in almost every way, and that is this little guy that just arrived today from Knife Center, which I'm going to unbox right now. And here it is. It is the Wharncliffe Delica in K390. So we get all of the best features of this Delica, which is Generation 4, but with a Wharncliffe profile blade, and upgraded blade steel, but instead of upgrading from VG10 to CPM S30V, we get an upgrade from VG10 to K390. K390 is going to have both better edge retention than CPM S30V and higher toughness. It's not as stainless. It's not stainless, in fact. But, you know, if I'm going to be in a marine environment, I'm going to use a specialty knife that has steel that's impervious to rust. But in pretty much any other environment, I can use a steel that you know, is high carbon and is susceptible to rust, and it won't rust as long as I take care of it and dry it off after using it and apply some oil once in a while. It may develop a little patina, but there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, some people think it looks good with a patina on it. So this, I think, is the sort of ultimate expression of the Delica so far. Unfortunately, it has just been discontinued as of this month. This is August 2023. Spyderco has discontinued several of their K390 knives, including the Wharncliffe versions of the Delica, Andella, and Endura. The Delica is the smallest of those, but it's also the thinnest, so it's going to have the best slicing performance. And this, I think, is likely the best box opening knife that Spyderco has ever made. So I would, if you want a knife for that purpose, for breaking down boxes, I would go ahead and get one of these while you still can. They are discounted at the retailers that still have them. And so for under $100, you can get a high performance steel with this improved blade profile. Now, this may not be the best blade profile for every purpose, right? The Wharncliffe is going to have a delicate tip. And so, you know, there are some applications where that is not desirable. But for breaking down boxes, it's perfect. All right. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can get lots and lots more knife videos. Thank you.